I thought one night with another man was harmless fun, just a simple swap at a party. But when I got home, all I saw was a shredded marriage certificate and a flattened wedding ring. As I walked on, I found. But now I know. I've lost everything. My life will never be the same. Beth was beyond furious with me, her husband, Mark Johnson. How did I know? It was pretty obvious as we drove home from a party hosted by some friends of hers, Lisa and Joe Parker. She sat as far from me as possible, her arms crossed, wearing a look that could turn water into vinegar. Why was she so angry? Well, I suppose she had every reason to be upset, considering I completely ruined her night. Quite a blunder, huh? I should feel guilty for embarrassing her, the mother of our 3 kids. Shame on me. But how exactly did I mess up the night? I grabbed the wrong key, that's how. See, there's a rather strange twist to the parties the Parkers host, one that my dear wife apparently decided to embrace without a second thought. Unfortunately for her, I wasn't on board with the idea. We'd never attended one of their get-togethers before, but somehow, after 10 years of marriage, Beth conveniently forgot to mention that this particular party had an unusual ending. All the wives were expected to toss their house keys into a bowl. Then, each husband would randomly pick one and spend the night with a woman whose key they drew, indulging in an evening of illicit pleasure. As the night came to a close and I realized the true nature of the party, I nearly lost my mind. I'd never been so mad at Beth. Grabbing her by the arm, I pulled her into the kitchen. Did you know how this party was supposed to end? I demanded, staring into her eyes. She smirked, not an ounce of regret on her face. Yes, I knew. And you didn't think to tell me? I asked, still fuming. No, because I knew you wouldn't agree if I did, she responded, cool as ever. You are absolutely right, I don't agree, and I still have a choice. Let's go home. We can't leave now, it would be rude. You'd put me in an awkward position, she argued. Besides, it's just one night. It could bring some excitement into our marriage. I can do without this kind of excitement, I shot back.
Oh boy, oh goddamn boy. This is just gonna keep getting worse if y'all watching. I know, like, I'm hoping this is fake because, you know, it's one of those Reddit threads. But this is gonna continue to get worse. Like, if we talking about dodging accountability, 100% it.
Let's just apologize and leave. We need some excitement, Mark. I need it. Just one night, and I'll feel desired again, not just like a wife and mother. I shook my head in disbelief. I'm not interested in this, and I won't let this happen. Now let's go. Ignoring her protests, I dragged her back into the living room, where everyone was gathered around the infamous bowl, ready to pick their partner for the night. Beth tried to pull away, but I didn't let go. When I finally reached the bowl, I made it clear to everyone I wasn't informed about tonight's arrangement and that I wouldn't be sharing my wife with anyone. I dug through the bowl and pulled out our house key, which I recognized by its blue keychain. Holding it up for all to see, I added, my marriage is sacred, and I don't condone this. There were a few grumbles from the crowd, but I didn't care. I turned to Beth, who was livid, her face flushed with embarrassment. I gave her an ultimatum, Beth, it's your choice, but decide now. Come with me and leave this nonsense behind, or stay and never come home. I'm leaving. The entire room fell silent as all eyes turned to my wife. After a tense pause, she spoke, her voice tight with frustration. I'm sorry for my husband's behavior, she said to the group. I'd love to stay, but I suppose it's best if I leave. Begrudgingly, she followed me to the car. You were insufferable, she hissed as we got in. How could you embarrass me like that in front of everyone? We'll never be invited to one of their parties again. Embarrass you? What about how you embarrassed me by not telling me you planned to sleep with another man tonight? Well, you could have picked another woman, and we both would have enjoyed ourselves. I don't want another woman, Beth. I've always been faithful to you, and I'm disgusted to learn that after 10 years of marriage, you want to sleep with someone else. It would only be once, Mark, just one night out of all the nights we've shared. That's not much to ask, is it? It's a lot to ask. This isn't some small thing, Beth, it's a big deal, I said, pulling over abruptly. But if this means so much to you, then fine. I made a sharp U-turn and sped back toward the Parker's house. Beth let out a yelp as I turned the car around. What are you doing, Mark? If sleeping with another man is that important to you, then go ahead. I won't stop you, I said as I pulled up to the house, tires screeching. There's still time for you to enjoy your adventure. Her face went pale. What are you saying? I'm saying you can go ahead and join them, Beth. Go find someone else to give you what I apparently can't. It's just an adventure, Mark, something different. You're perfect, but I need this.
This should be scary, bro. I don't know why, though. This should be scary as hell. Like, I'm not even scared in the situation. It's just listening to it. It's like, damn, it's gonna keep getting worse. Like, I done seen where they both went wrong. She went wrong initially for not telling him what was going on, and then he went wrong for turning back to think that she's gonna hear what you're saying and say that she's gonna take it as okay. She's going to take it as okay. You turning around and do that, we're talking about women here. She's going to take it as okay, you could do it, and think it's okay to come back when she's done. But alright, we're going to continue listening.
Well, I don't want any part of it. I've been faithful to you, and I'm not about to change that now. If you go through with this, it's over between us. Beth hesitated, her hand on the door handle. Can you pick me up in the morning? She asked, a note of hope in her voice. No. I'm sure whoever you end up with will be happy to take you wherever you need to go. Her expression soured. You make it sound so dirty, Mark. It's not like that. It's exactly like that, Beth. You're about to spend the night with a stranger. She sighed. It's just one night. It's not a big deal. Even 1 second would be too much, I said firmly. If you go through with this, we're done. She didn't seem to understand. You are overreacting, Mark. I'll be yours again in the morning, and you'll forget all about this. No, Beth. If you walk back into that house, I'll never want you again. That won't happen, Mark. We're married, we'll get through this. I shook my head. If you go in, it's over. Beth hesitated for a moment, then opened the door. See you in the morning, Mark, she said with a defiant smile. No, you won't, I whispered as I drove away, leaving her standing in the driveway, stunned. I hoped she'd call, admit she was wrong, and ask me to come back. But she never did. As I drove, tears filled my eyes. Beth had chosen a stranger over me, over our marriage. I remembered my father's words.
I'm not saying nothing, but that's your fault, my boy. That's definitely your fault right there, because you shouldn't have turned back. Why the hell would you turn back? Yes, you know what you would have to do at this point. You absolutely know what you would have to do. But you didn't have to let her do that either. Because you know it's done, like, it's done, but you didn't have to turn back around for her to do what? She will find her own way back. There's gonna be another party, like she said.
If a woman is seriously considering sleeping with another man, she's already crossed the line. And it hit me, my marriage was over. The real tragedy in all of this is our 3 children, 9-year-old Natalie, 8-year-old Emma, and 4-year-old Mark Jr. How can I go on without seeing them every day? But I can't just overlook what Beth did without consequences. The kids were spending the weekend at my mom's house, which gave me time to figure out my next steps. I drove around aimlessly for about half an hour, still hoping Beth would call and ask me to pick her up. But as the minutes ticked by, it became painfully clear that she had made her decision. Finally, I headed home. As I pulled into the driveway, my phone rang. For a moment, my heart raced, hoping it was her. But the caller ID told me otherwise. I answered anyway, and on the other end was Ted Mason, one of the guys from the party. Hey Mark, it's Ted. Beth gave me your number. She's really hoping you'll come back. Day 2. I thought one night with another man was harmless fun, just a simple swap at a party. But when I got home, all I saw was a shredded marriage certificate and a flattened wedding ring. As I walked on, I found. But now I know. I've lost everything. My life will never be the same. Come back, she said. She's excited for tonight and thinks you should join in. You're a lucky guy, you know. Every man here is hoping to pick her key. She's been telling everyone that tonight it's going to be unforgettable, and she wants you to be part of it. It's getting pretty heated here, Ted continued over the phone. Everyone's excited to see who they'll be with tonight. You still got time to come back and pick a key. There are some really attractive women here, Mark. They're ready to show you a great time tonight.
You know what's funny about the whole scenario that I'm not recollecting, that I'm catching now? His wife was the most prettiest one there. So I'm on your side, my boy. You know who you wanted, you got who you wanted, but she didn't think. But and what the hell would that be called? Because that's weird. It's like underestimating yourself or overestimating yourself. I don't know.
Screw you, Ted Mason, I spat. And to hell with everyone at that party, including my unfaithful wife. I hope you all get what's coming to you. I hung up and staggered into the house, my mind spinning. Within 20 minutes, I had packed 2 suitcases, enough clothes for a week or 2, grabbed my laptop and shaving kit, and loaded everything into the car. After rummaging through some drawers, I found our marriage certificate. With grim satisfaction, I tore it into 4 pieces. Then I grabbed a hammer and flattened my wedding ring. It took several hits, but when I was done, I placed the ring and the torn certificate on Beth's pillow. Locking the front door behind me, I drove off into the night. I intended to find a motel a few miles outside town, but before that, I circled past the Parker place one more time. A few cars had already left, and I saw some people standing in pairs, chatting on the street. Beth wasn't anywhere in sight. I figured she had moved on with her new partner, or perhaps paired up with Joe Parker himself. The motel I eventually found was in a nearby town. It wasn't fancy, but it had a secluded parking lot in the back, which suited me just fine. I locked the car, picked up a 6-pack of Newcastle from the convenience store next door, and went back to my room to unwind with some TV. The first 2 beers helped take the edge off, but as I popped open the third, my phone rang. It was Beth. I knew she wasn't calling for me to pick her up, so I let it go to voicemail. Mark, you're acting like a child, her message began. Ted told me what you said. How many times do I need to tell you? It's just one night. I'll let one guy have me for a few hours, and it doesn't make me immoral. Sure, it might sting a bit, but I'll make it up to you in ways you can't imagine when I get home tomorrow. You probably don't care, but since you pulled our key from the bowl, they gave me another one. The guy.
Fuck that. Like I said earlier, I hope this shit is fake. Cause if this is real, and this is cause how you get both sides of the story, like how you get her side and his side, so we know this is fake. But this shit right here, boy, just listening to it.
The guy who got it is named Brian. He seems nice, and he promised he wouldn't pressure me. He's married with kids too. Since you're at our place, I went with him. His wife and her boyfriend are staying in a different room, so we won't disturb them when things get heated. You know how vocal I get when you touch me. She let out a soft laugh. Mark, I know you're upset, but I promise I won't let him do anything we haven't done. I told Brian we should keep it simple, maybe stick to the usual positions. He's been with me a few times, mostly missionary, but we might mix it up a little. He agreed, especially.
A few times? A few times? But this not your first time? Matter of fact, let me listen a little bit further.
Since it's my first time with another man. He'll drive me home tomorrow, and I'll shower and freshen up before I come back to you. No leftovers for you, baby. Sweet dreams, love. Get ready for some excitement when I see you in the morning. Love you. Listening to her message tore me apart. How could I have married someone so foolish and immoral? Sure, Beth had always been a bit scatterbrained, but I thought it was part of her charm. Now her recklessness was going to cost her everything, her life, her husband, and probably her kids. She didn't understand that I couldn't just forgive her after she let another man have her and flaunted it in my face. I should have ignored her message, but I couldn't help myself. I dialed her number, and she picked up after the third ring. Hey babe, she cooed. Brian and I just got into bed, so I can't talk long. Shut up, Beth, I said coldly. This is the last time you'll hear from me. You have no idea what you've done, but you're about to find out. Enjoy your night with Brian because when you wake up tomorrow, our marriage is over. Got it? You're finished. Her voice faltered. Mark, what are you saying? Don't be like that. I never thought I'd say this, but I hate you more than I ever loved you. Expect to hear from my lawyer next week. And with that, I hung up. 30 seconds later, the phone rang again. It was her. I let it go to voicemail. Mark, she began, her voice cracking, why are you doing this? How can you say those things to me? I'm your wife. Can't you just let me have this one?
I don't know. If she was this oblivious to what the hell is going on, I don't know, my boy. It's like you wasn't teaching her something. You couldn't have been teaching her. She was just doing what she want to as a woman. If this, like I keep saying, if the story is real, because it's crazy behavior. Yes, it could be told one-sided, but
One night? Brian and I are just getting started, and now you're ruining everything. I don't even know if I can enjoy being with him now. We're not getting divorced. I'll be home tomorrow, and we can talk this out. I come home now, but I promised Brian I'd be with him tonight. Please try to understand. He got my...
This shit sounds so crazy. It's like, yo, that is your husband. And you're talking about the next dude like the next dude takes some precedence over your husband because you feel that way. If this is real, that shit, boy. And this is only the second one. We doing all 5. I don't even know how long we've been here, but we gonna keep going.
Key, and I told him he could have me. I can't go back on that now. She paused, and I heard her speaking softly, presumably to him. Oh God, yes, Brian's ready. I have to go. I love you, Mark. I'll always love you. See you in the morning. I felt sick to my stomach. I couldn't resist. I called her back. But this time, the phone rang several times before going to voicemail. Clearly, Brian had already claimed her. I left her a final message. Beth, it's clear you're with him now. You're enjoying everything he's giving you, all new sensations. You've broken my heart, and I'll never forgive you for it. You kept your promise to Brian, but you couldn't keep your vows to me. You're nothing more than an adulterer now. From here on out, you can be with as many men as you like, but you've lost me forever. Beth never called back. I knew why. Once she was involved with a man, she became consumed. Nothing else mattered. I wasn't sure if she even listened to my last message. Either way, it didn't matter. Our marriage was over. I downed the rest of the six-pack, trying not to think about Beth lying in bed with Brian. I didn't want to imagine her doing all the things.
The funny part is why I sort of kind of believe it, because this would technically be the mind frame of the shit that I'll be going through if I decided to marry somebody, and then this is what the marriage comes down to. Like, there wasn't even a conversation. I'd understand if there was a conversation, but there wasn't. You just threw boy out there because you felt like, and you knew there was a conversation with somebody else, because how did she know about this place? How would she know about this place?
She used to do with me, but I knew she would. She was always vocal during sex, and tonight would be no different. The beer finally took its toll, and I passed out, tears still rolling down my face. I woke up a few hours later, the harsh reality hitting me again. My wife had betrayed me, and I had to figure out a way to protect my kids, get rid of her, and make everyone at that party pay. We lived in Norwood, Mississippi, a picturesque little town along the Gulf Coast. Luckily, Mississippi recognized adultery as grounds for divorce. That might help me avoid paying child support and maybe even help me gain custody of the kids. I needed a good lawyer, a really good one. I showered, got dressed, and called my mom around 7:30 to let her know what was happening. She was just as shocked as I was about Beth's actions. She promised not to say anything to the kids for now. I told her I'd pick them up once I had everything sorted out. Even though it hurt to admit it, I knew Beth would probably get custody of them, at least temporarily. She'd always been a good mother, but after last night, I couldn't think of her the same way. After hanging up with my mom, I headed to a nearby diner for breakfast. Just as I was about to park, my phone rang again. It was Beth. I ignored it, but she called again. When I didn't answer, she left a voicemail. Through sobs, she said, "Mark, please answer the phone. What do you mean you might?"
Boy. Yeah, let's just get to it, man. I'm wasting y'all time with my commentary, technically. But it sounds like, yo, is that what we left with? Like, after, if this is true, after you've been with somebody for so many years and it gets boring, is that what you left with, spicing it up? Like that's what, oh, alright.
Day 3, I thought one night with another man was harmless fun, just a simple swap at a party. But when I got home, all I saw was a shredded marriage certificate and a flattened wedding ring. As I walked on, I found. But now I know. I've lost everything. My life will never be the same. This is about divorce papers. You can't leave me, Mark. I won't let you. Our kids need both of us. How could you tear up our marriage certificate and throw away your wedding ring? You vowed to wear it forever. I didn't think you'd take it this far. I love you so much, Mark. I just needed that special night with Brian, and it was amazing. He made me feel alive again. I'd forgotten what it was like to laugh and scream at the same time. But as incredible as it was, you're my man. You're the only one I want.
Yeah, this has to be fake, because if somebody had this type of audacity, like what? And you just saying that to him? Maybe if this was a book or some type shit, now I could understand why women be talking the way they think. You feel me? Like, if they just read books and this was in that book, they'll definitely do this type of scenario, and it won't work out like that, because I don't know.
I can fix this. Please come home and let me show you how much I love you. Her voice cracked again, and she broke into more sobs. Why can't you understand, Mark? I just needed one night with someone new, someone who desired me, who wanted me. It felt so good to know another man found me irresistible. You don't know how much that means to a woman my age. But it was just sex, Mark, that's all. It was just a few times. I'll never do it again. Please, let's talk. You and the kids mean everything to me. I stood outside the diner, stunned. Had she harbored these thoughts throughout our entire marriage, only to suddenly act on them after a decade together? Beth was still a beautiful woman, shoulder-length dark brown hair, piercing blue eyes, and a figure that turned heads. Her hips had widened a bit after 3 kids, but she still attracted attention wherever we went. What was all this talk about needing to feel desired by another man? I had always shown her how much I loved and desired her. I often surprised her with flowers and took her out on weekends.
Yeah, she thought you were boring, my boy. Like, she thought you were boring. This is the same shit I just asked. I don't know what that is. It's like you will always have to be doing something new. Why? Like, why? Like, I understand showing your partner, but showing sometimes turns out to be the same thing in a different form. It doesn't have to be new or extravagant or keep going extravagant, because that's how some of us go broke.
Date nights, but apparently, none of that mattered. She wanted something new, something thrilling, and in doing so, she had destroyed everything we had built together. I couldn't forgive her for that. I went inside the diner, ordered some coffee, and sat there staring out the window as the reality of the situation continued to sink in. Beth's betrayal wasn't just physical, it was emotional. She had torn apart our family, our trust, and the life we had built together. And for what? A night of feeling desired by a man she barely knew? It was incomprehensible to me. I knew what I had to do next. I would hire the best divorce attorney I could find, one who would fight for me to get custody of the kids and ensure that Beth's actions had consequences. Mississippi law was on my side when it came to infidelity, and I would use every tool available to make sure she didn't walk away from this unscathed. After finishing my coffee, I stepped outside.
Good question, right? Good question. Why the hell is they doing that shit in Mississippi then? If that's wild behavior. Is that how far y'all willing to go to feel like you broke the law or some type shit? Because I don't know.
Took a deep breath, and dialed the number of a lawyer I had heard about, a tough, no-nonsense attorney who specialized in divorce cases. It was time to take the next step. Beth was still a striking woman, shoulder-length dark brown hair, light blue eyes, and a stunning figure. Her chest wasn't overly large, but not small either. Yes, her hips had widened a bit after having 3 kids, but she still managed to attract attention from men wherever she went. So, what was this sudden talk about needing to feel desired by another man? I had consistently shown her how much I loved and desired her. I regularly surprised her with flowers, and we went out on weekly date nights. We weren't a couple that had drifted apart, at least not from where I stood. I always thought we had a good marriage, a strong connection. I even bought her alluring lingerie and affirmed her beauty and my love for her daily. Until last night, I believed our sex life was fulfilling. We made love at least 3 times a week, and she always reached multiple climaxes. What could I have possibly overlooked? Despite losing my appetite, I entered the diner, found an empty table, and ordered scrambled eggs, toast, and black coffee. I barely touched my meal but went through at least 6 cups of coffee. I had never felt so adrift, so hollow, so utterly defeated. I'd heard people talk about wishing for death, and now I understood why. The only thing keeping me from sinking into total despair was the thought of my children. I had to keep going for them to navigate the mess Beth had created and carve out a future for us. That realization gave me strength. I had to persevere. I just needed a plan. Beth called me nonstop that day, but I sent every call to voicemail. She pleaded for understanding, but not once did she apologize. There was no admission of guilt, just an insistence that she needed that one night and that my job was to support her. According to her, they'd only had sex 3 times that night and once in the morning. That's it, she said, as if that somehow made it easier to forgive. She also mentioned she might not have.
My boy, like, I'm sorry, this is gonna be harsh on my part, but you turned your wife into your friend. Cause like, I wanna be cool, but we not gonna be that cool. You're not gonna be able to just blurt shit like that. Like, I'm not the type of person, but I'm gonna let you know on hand. If you say some shit underhanded, I'm going to balk on you. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why I don't want to hear shit like that before I tweak the fuck out. Because if you, I won't even let it get that far. If you don't know me before we get that far, then you got the game fucked up. But that's crazy that she just gonna blurt that out in front of your face. Like, and how did you not know she was this dumb? If this shit is real, of course.
Turned off her phone in time and was worried I'd overheard her with Brian. She hoped I hadn't heard too much. I had to give her credit, she knew exactly how to twist the knife. I couldn't comprehend how someone could be so foolish. The only silver lining in this mess was that I now had enough audio evidence of her infidelity to use against her in court. I didn't know if it would be enough, but it was certainly damning. Tomorrow, I will start putting things in motion. I'd look for a good lawyer and gather all the information I needed. I visited my kids at my mom's house. She mentioned that Beth had already called to check on the kids and asked where I was. Mom told her I was devastated and didn't want to speak to her. Beth apparently broke down in tears, saying she didn't understand. My mother reassured her that no man would accept his wife flaunting a night with another man in his face. Beth then asked if she should pick up the children, but Mom advised her to let them stay a few more days until things settled. Told them she was busy with a special project and that they'd be staying with Grandma a bit longer. We played games, had dinner together, and I kissed them goodnight before heading back to the motel. Tomorrow was going to be a long day. Before calling it a night, I drove past my house one last time. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized what I had lost, something I could never get back. It struck me as odd that I didn't see any unfamiliar cars in the driveway. Maybe the car was in the garage. Only a single light glowed from the kitchen window, suggesting Beth was alone tonight. I found myself caring despite everything. The betrayal stung, but a part of me still worried. Against my better judgment, I parked a block away and approached the house from the side where I could peek through the kitchen window. There she was, sitting at the table with a nearly empty bottle of Grey Goose by her side. Her hair was a mess, mascara streaked down her cheeks, and she was wrapped in a robe, her head resting on the table, eyes closed. It was clear she had been crying, surrounded by a pile of used tissues. For a brief moment, I felt a pang of sympathy, but it was quickly replaced by the memory of what she had done. She had made her choices, and now she had to live with them. I resisted the urge to knock on the door and instead returned to my car, driving away with a small sense of satisfaction. Perhaps she was finally beginning to realize the magnitude of her actions. If she could get comfort, she could go to Brian. Monday morning arrived, and I had a busy day ahead. I returned to the diner for breakfast and, this time, managed to eat my eggs, toast,
and coffee. After finishing, I called my mom to speak with each of the kids, reassuring them that I'm homesick. Then, I contacted my office, letting my assistant know that I'd be dealing with personal matters for the next 2 days. She asked if everything was alright, and I told her I'd explain later. During my last year at Ole Miss, I had been with 2 close friends, Doug Lewis and Liam Cray. We kept in touch over the years, though we didn't see each other often. While I pursued a degree in computer science,
And this is how you kind of feel that this shit could just be a little real, because he naming names now, talking about real places that he went to school and shit.
business administration, and went to law. I decided to reach out to them for advice. I called Doug first, asking if he and Liam could meet for drinks later that evening. I explained that I needed their counsel on something important, and Doug agreed to set it up at a beachside bar around 5. I arrived early and waited. He showed up first, followed by Doug 10 minutes later. After greeting each other, we settled at a table on the patio, ordered beers, and raised our glasses for a toast. So, what's on your mind, Mark? Doug asked. Your call sounded serious. I took a deep breath. Beth cheated on me and didn't even try to hide it. I confessed, laying out the entire story. That's rough. Doug sympathized, shaking his head. I can't believe she did that. He chimed in. And without remorse? Then she's acting like you're overreacting. Exactly, I replied.
Just want to know how you get that far with a dummy.
I thought one night when another man was harmless fun, just a simple squat in the park. But when I got home, all I saw was a shredded marriage certificate and black wedding ring. As I walked on, I thought, but now I know. I've lost everything. My life will never be the same. She thinks it's no big deal, so I'm thinking about divorce, getting back at Brian, and, most importantly, getting custody of my kids. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his chin. Divorce is something on the table, and it won't be easy to get custody unless I see that she's unfitted to mother. If she's making me around kids, then you've got something to work with. Otherwise, if she's a good mom, divorce will leave in her favor, and you'll likely end up paying child support. I'm okay with that as long as I can see my kids often, I said. The courts generally prefer both parents to stay involved as long as neither of you is a danger to the kids. What about the finances? That means nothing. That's the stay-at-home mom, and I'm guessing you make a solid income. How are your savings and investments looking? I've got checking, savings, a 401k, an IRA, and a few other investments, probably around $700,000 to $800,000 total, I answered. Well, the court will likely split that evenly. Beth will probably get the house and custody of the kids. Infidelity, you might avoid paying alimony. Do you know of a divorce lawyer? I asked. One of the partners at my firm is one of the best family law attorneys in Mississippi. Her name is Sandy Simmons. Want me to set up a meeting? The sooner, the better, I agree. I'll also look into ways to protect some of your assets. Send me all your financial details, and I'll get on it. Most once more, I had a few more drinks, and then called midnight. For the first time in days, I felt a glimmer of peace. There was still a long road ahead, but at least I had a plan now. On the way back to the hotel, my phone rang again. It was Beth. After a moment of hesitation, I realized I had to face her sooner or later, so I pulled over and answered. What do you want, Beth? I asked, getting straight to the point. What is it I want, Mark? I want my husband to come home, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. Unfortunately, a little escapade with Brian makes that impossible. I replied coldly. Don't say that, Mark. Don't dare say that. It was just one night after 10 years. That's not grounds for divorce.
And this how see how y'all be getting hooked. Y'all be getting hooked. Cause I like hearing this shit. It's like, yo, who raised you? Like, who raised you? Like, what do you believe in? That be some of the questions I'll be wanting to ask. Like, what do you really believe in? Cause it's weird to think somebody had to talk you into that. Like, you're not telling me that you're that dumb, but you had a smart dumb idea. No, somebody talked you into that. If this is real, I got to keep saying that because this shit crazy.
Infidelity is most certainly grounds for divorce in Mississippi. I shot back. Why did you call me cheating? It was just one night with someone else, just a fling. One of us has figured out the end. Whether it's cheating, I said firmly. You told me that if you went through with this, it would be over 2 years, and I did. His thoughts echoed through the phone. Please, Mark, I can't do this to you. You did this to yourself. That's what I said. What the hell happened to you? Mark, you must have meant for us. Did you just have a great night? You didn't care about me. Our kids, we were once so to our family. You just had to have the night with Brian, and now you're going to face the consequences. I never wanted it to be like this, Mark. I didn't think I was hurting you. I just wanted to try something new. I love you, and it wasn't about you, it was about what I needed. And that's what brought us here. Beth, I replied to you, but it's not first. You didn't think about me or our kids. You just thought about what you wanted, a special night to see yourself. Instead, the good news when my voice was faithful. Well, congratulations, you're home. You got your wish, and an end to your marriage.
I'm still kind of like it sounds biased of me, I know, but I'm blaming the dude, man. Like you should have knew. You should have knew. You should have knew. Like you should have knew, bro. I don't know what you was doing in that whole 10 years, what you thought it was, but everybody knows something special has to happen because it's boring type of feeling. So you should have knew.
Probably also ruined your reputation with your family and friends. Maybe one day I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget, and I'll be sure everyone knows what you did. Just like you mocked me for being upset about your hair. See how you handle it when everyone hears your confession. How many times have you really cried? Oh God, Mark, please.
That's the thing. Like you see what he's about to say. You should have thought about that. Like, what was you thinking about? Like, well, we knew what you was thinking about, but that's the crazy part about it is you ain't even thought about toys or nothing. Like, you ain't try to ease him into it. None of it. This whole other person, like that.
Act like this is no big deal. Getting a parking ticket for coming to the library. The way it sounded in your head with the man who adored her and that she's thrilled with his future. No Peter has so much. Didn't get me good. That Brian slept with 4 times in the house with him. I asked sharply. I didn't have to listen to me. Mark, she shot back. You should have left me enough support in your
Means that you're wrong. That very group of people that did that means that you're wrong. I'm sorry to tell you. But like I said, you should have knew. You should have knew. You should have been asking more questions. You should have been trying to figure out what was wrong with her. Not to sound fucked up. I can't see what you look like, but I would still think if somebody was that good to me, what was wrong with her to want to be with me? Not to say that there's something wrong, but if we're figuring out a person, we're figuring out all the things.
And you should have known that. What were you thinking when you did this? I meant it. I didn't expect you to be upset. She admitted it. I mean, seriously, Mark, what's the big deal about letting another man have you for now? It doesn't mean I love you any less after those parties. And I didn't treat you.
You heard it? I heard something. Yeah, somebody was in her ear. Somebody was in her ear. I knew somebody had to be in her ear. Cause how you found out about it? Like, who just blurts that? No, you were talking to some dude, more than likely. Cause I don't know. Women could probably do it too, but it's just weird that y'all will pass that type of information out and then not tell her to tell her husband or something. Cause she just thought it was okay to throw you into it. I still gotta blame you, my boy. Both of y'all at fault. But I feel like you more at fault because you married her and you should have knew who you was marrying before you married.
My anger boiling over. I begged you not to do it over and over again, and you just smiled and said, "See you in the morning, Mark." You took away what we had shared for over 10 years. The vows that put everything you included meant nothing to you. We created 3 beautiful children out of the love we had. We were a family, and now you know you that part of yourself that made our children have a good time. It was just one night. She repeated it, and you to accept that and move on. I shook my head. It wasn't good beyond words.
You said one thing right. She did have no respect for you. But this is why I still don't believe this story. Like, I'm into it, but it's like, damn, like is this what I had to deal with? I mean, I'm learning right now, coping with the stuff, doing what I need to do, so I won't get caught slipping. But if these are the scenarios that's happening, the tricky world out there, boy. Responsible for bringing up their loose circle and ruining their reputations. Go to hell. And take your chief present with you. The moment I had seen Esquire, I knew I had the right of mine.
small talk past me to business. She asked me why I wanted a divorce, and I had to choose. I told her I wanted to split our assets, offering that the house exchange to a less match. I liked it to get both custody of the kids, but I wanted to see the visitation rights without having to pay child support. I also gave her all the audio evidence I had met the best decision provide. Samantha shook her head in disbelief. Your wife is a fearless. Her appear in a way that can use to connect with the court. Being a voice recognition expert in terms of the voice, but it must be evidence to by its death. This recording should hold up in court, she said. Spent the next hour discussing my plans regarding Rodney and the other participants from the wife's bottom line. Monetary funds to expose their activities and shame them and cause damage to their reputations.
Now, don't forget to leave a comment if you even got this far. Because I know it was a doozy. When I first heard the first one, I'm like, yeah, this. But we gonna get to this last one. I believe this the last one.
I thought one night the young man's arms were just a simple spot in the park. All I saw was the shredded marriage of the two kids as I walked on. But now I know. I've lost everything. My life will never be the same. I agreed that would be enough for me. I asked that Beth be served as soon as possible. She greeted us at the door. She hugged and kissed me warmly. But when she reached out to me, I stepped back. Tears welled up in her eyes as she pleaded with me to stay. But I told her I thought it was best for the kids to return home to her. I arranged to pick them up on Friday for the weekend. Beth looked like she was struggling, and part of me sympathized with her, but she had made her choice. The stress was no worse than what I was going through because of her actions. On Wednesday, I went back to work, realizing I couldn't afford to neglect my job. I needed the income, but even more so, I needed the distraction. If I allowed myself to drown in the Beth's betrayal, I'd lose my mind, and I couldn't do that, not with my kids depending on me.
And the funny part about the whole scenario is like, yo, some dudes crash the fuck out for shit like that. You had a dude, if this was real, you had a dude who was willing to talk to you. Because he clearly didn't put no type of fear into you. That you thought that was okay. If this is a real story, of course.
I updated them on kids and divorce. Doug was still looking for ways to protect some of my assets, and I gave him the green light to proceed. It wouldn't be much, but it would help in the long run. We came up with a simple plan to disrupt the West Swapping Club without receiving slanted lawsuits. I had a friend who worked as a reporter for the Boy Scout Bureau. He was confident that if I provided him with the address of the Parker house, it could approximate time improvement. He could disclose them. He planned to write an editorial about the White Swapping scheme, hinting at the involvement of local businesses without the influence. This would stir up enough trouble among the citizens that this crowd would cause real problems for the group. I gave him what little information I had, and he said to take it from there. We shook hands and parted ways. For the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of relief. The weekend with my kids was wonderful. We went shopping, caught a movie at the Grand 18, and spent a day at the beach swimming and playing frisbee. My children were my number one priority now, and I swore I would never abandon them. On Monday, we called with good news. His reporter friend was already working on the story and had taken photos of the couples entering Parker's house. So the faces would be blurred. People in a town like ours wouldn't take long to figure out who they were. Instead, it went to the front page by the end of the week. Beth continued to call me, pleading for me to come home and promising she'd do anything to make me forget her actions. But she never apologized. Not once did she admit she was wrong. By Wednesday, my lawyer informed me that Beth was served with divorce papers on Friday. Beth also called with more good news. She managed to move about a third of my money into accounts under my children's names, protecting me from any future claims. That same day, he told me that his friend had staked out the Parker house and was ready to get more photos of the next White Swapping event, scheduled for Friday night. He also wanted to interview me for the article. I agreed, even as the closure started to take shape. On Friday, my lawyer called around 2:30 to confirm that Beth had been served. I didn't know what was coming next, and sure enough, my phone rang for the news. Hi, Beth, I said calmly, you know exactly what you wanted to talk about. What did you do, Nicole? She handed handily. I filed for divorce, as I said I would. I replied, my divorce level. And I told you, we were going to divorce. Spending one night with another man since June. Mark, she
You see if this shit is real, I like the audacity, bro. The audacity with some people. It's like, she really talking to her husband like that? Somebody you want around? I don't know. I feel like she was wearing the pants in that relationship, my boy. Like, you just did whatever she wanted. And that's kind of bad, because you end up in situations like this.
cried, her voice cracking. I have to disagree, I said firmly. Having sex with someone other than your spouse is infidelity. That's how the law sees it, and that's how I see it. Her tears were almost palpable through the phone. Why are you so angry with me, Mark? I love you. Brian and I had an affair, and that's all. An affair is all, Beth. You had sex with another man. go away. The trust was shattered beyond repair, and it never America's husband. Even though I knew I should stay away from the park and stuff that Friday night, I couldn't resist the temptation. I wanted to see the best car with me.
You a glutton for punishment, but I can't even be fault with you because I've done dumb shit like that before. And that's probably why I felt like it was real but fake, but real but fake. But it's just, if this, yeah, I've been in those moments before, my boy. Don't like them. Terrible moments. Not the same story, but definitely terrible moments.
I parked a block away. Noticing the man was selecting housing report. I silently listened to him as I drove off into the night. Later, his journalist friend called for more details, which I was happy to provide. He mentioned he had captured over 100 photographs and had already recognized several prominent couples in the city. He said that some people didn't even bother hiding their identities. After confirming that Beth wasn't among the attendees, he asked me to describe the key swapping process. While I had seen it firsthand, I knew that Beth's account and what I'd overheard from other couples. By Sunday, the article constructed into the Voice of the sparked outrage across the city. The papers included a large photo of couples dancing and kissing in the house, and their faces blurred with a piece of people at the wheels of cars. Inside, there were 4 more pages of photos and a detailed write-up. The city was buzzed by Monday morning. Local radio and TV stations discussed the scandal. It was news to me quickly. The religious community had erupted in protest. Civic leaders condemned the city's tarnished reputation, and lawsuits were flying left and right. But all I could think about was the pain that had endured because of Beth's betrayal. Beth was eager to try to reconcile, but her sister was neither. Our divorce was finalized, Fran was joined custody of kids. She had them on weekends, and I had her to It wasn't ideal, but it worked. In the end, an encouraging humiliation of sharing the audio from confessions of the family and friends. The couples involved in the two parties, some of the most had moved away, while others simply vanished from the social scene. Beth started dating again, but it was clear she still didn't understand why what she had done was so unacceptable. I dated a few women, but never found anyone I was ready to settle down with. Someone to move in, but I wasn't ready to handle her routine. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the end of the story. It's just crazy. I had nothing else I could really say about it, so leave a comment. I already had y'all here for too long. I'm out.